Hey you guys, welcome back to another Inktober review. Today we'll be going over week 3, which is going to cover days 13 through 19. If you haven't already seen weeks 1 and 2, I will have them linked in the description. You can also use the little eye above, I don't know which side it's on, but let's go ahead and get into the review. So for day number 13, the prompt was ash. I went with a phoenix for this one. I know it might be a little bit obvious. I did see a few other people doing phoenixes for this day, but I wanted to do it anyway. I really like how the composition came out. I was just sort of like playing around with the shapes until something fit properly. I also really like the sort of gradient effect that I got from the circle in the background because it gives this nice little smoky feel to it, which I think also helps emphasize the prompt. I got a pretty good response for this one and I'm overall very happy with it. Day number 14 was overgrown and I immediately thought of a python. If you've ever seen a python in real life, like a python like in the zoo or something, they get really big. So I was imagining in my head like a python filling up a box. So that's what I went with. I just used some washi tape to block out a border and then filled the entirety of it with the body of the python. I did decide to keep the markings on it just a little bit more abstract looking, and I've actually had someone say that it looked like a world map of some sort, which I kind of like the idea of, but I wanted to bring a little bit of texture in but not too much, because what I thought was cool about it was the way the pattern blocked within the frame. So yeah, overall really happy with how it came out. It looks exactly how I imagined it in my head, and again got a pretty decent response from it. Day number 15, the prompt was legend. I kind of had a few ideas in my head about this, but the most immediate one that I got was King Kong. So I went with a gorilla. This is one that I think could be stronger, but I think in general looks really good still. Considering this is my first time doing a close-up of this sort of a gorilla, it was really challenging trying to get the facial proportions just right and making it, I guess, look believable, but I think that it came out pretty decently. I think that the expression comes across well, and I had fun like doing his teeth. I thought that was a pretty cool thing to feature in there. I wanted to use the white gel pen to kind of give a little dimension to his fur and just show some highlight there, but I do think that it ended up sort of weakening it a little bit. But yeah, I think this was a decent day, just maybe not as strong as it could have been, but still pretty okay. For day number 16, the prompt was wild, and it took me a minute to get to it, but I decided to draw my cat. If you haven't already met Gogi, she's crazy. But one of the things that I thought about when I was thinking about the prompt was her running full speed around the house and playing with her toy squirrel. So that's what I drew here. It's just her with the squirrel in her mouth and in play mode, and you know she's in play mode because her eyes dilate to like the entire size of her iris. So yeah, again, really simple. I'm glad that I didn't do too much on this day, because I think sometimes as I'm working through Inktober, I kind of need basic days, and this was one of those more basic days for me. But I still really like how it came out because it looks like her, and I think it looks cute and funny. So I hope that everybody liked this piece. For day number 17, the word was ornament, and this one was really hard to decide on. I had a tough time coming up with some images in my head, or even an animal that would be appropriate, but eventually I thought about camels, and I've seen images of camels with like headdress on. I tried to look up some more information on where those headdresses originated. I know that it is traditional to some Middle Eastern societies, but I couldn't really get any clear answers, or I was having a hard time finding clear answers. But I was still able to find images of the camel with the headdress the way that I was imagining it in my head. I did assemble the decorations on this camel myself, but they were based on some of the images that I was able to find through Google Images. This is one that I'm actually really proud of. I love the way the textures came across, and I'm really pleased with the variations that I was able to achieve with like the rope and some of the beading and the chains and the tassels themselves. And also I really liked the facial expression of the camel. I thought that he looked sort of proud and confident in himself, and I thought this was a really interesting way to interpret the prompt. So again, I'm really happy with this one, and I'm hoping to do some more pieces with this sort of like textural interest in the future. So day 18 was Misfit, and the immediate idea that I got was hyenas. I was thinking about the hyenas in Lion King, which I know is really corny, but when I heard Misfits, that's the image that I got in my head. So this was another day that I decided to go much more simple and keep things pretty basic, just for the sake of my creative sanity. So this is supposed to be like just two hyenas in the darkness. One of the images of hyenas that resonates in my head a lot is the visual of them being in the dark, but you being able to see the circles of their eyes highlighting what little light there is. So I just like imagine like these little circles in the darkness. But I did decide to go ahead and do the white outline. It does convey that these are hyenas instead of just being some random animal, because I think most animals have that sort of reflective quality with their eyes. So again, two hyenas in the dark, just a really quick and simple piece for the 18th. And then for the 19th, the word was sling. This was another day that I had a hard time coming up with an idea quickly on. Eventually I started thinking about like mothers with the slings that they carry their babies in, and so then that transitioned into thinking about animal parents with their young, and then I came to the kangaroo. So here I just had a kangaroo with her little joey inside of her pouch, and again, keeping it really simple. I did try to break up the background a little bit texturally by putting in just some abstracted sort of trees, but I really tried to keep the emphasis on the kangaroo, so I did a black outline to kind of block her out from the background a little bit better and gave her a little more grayscale and textural variety with her fur and everything. This is a piece that I'm content with. I do think it could be a little bit stronger, but I am satisfied with how it came out. If I was to do it over, I'd probably go a little bit darker with the grayscale, but in general, it's good enough and definitely conveys the vision that I had in my head. So with week 3, I think that I definitely got a little bit more into a creative flow. Again, I know that there are some images there that could have been stronger, but I do think that when I compare those to my weaker images from say week 1 or week 2, they are better than those in terms of quality. I am feeling a little bit better about my progress throughout this month so far. I do need to play a little bit of catch up, but hopefully I'll be able to take care of that sooner than later. Thankfully, I'm not going to fall too far out of my original timeline. I also decided that the last few days of my Inktober I'm going to review as part of my October vlog. So if you don't normally watch my vlogs and you want to see my last few days of Inktober, then I will try to put a timestamp in my description so that way you can just go straight to the review. Next week is the last week before my trip to Japan, so I have a lot to get done over the next few days, but I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to finishing up the month and going into this new adventure. So thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and until next time, peace.